about to say order.
My team is the affirmative side for this claim, and my team is Morgan, Nick, Claire, Ben, Hannah, Mariah, Liz, Claire, Rachel, and Sosie, who's not here. Liberty Paints is a microcosm for America. This is a positive thing because many white people don't want the low-paying jobs or like the worst jobs, so a lot of black Americans get jobs that whites don't want. And the whites in the Liberty Paints factory are the employers of the black, and they trust the black people to operate the machinery and make the white paint. And Lucius Brockway, he is a black man who operates all the machinery that actually makes the base for the paint. And they tried to have white people come down and do it, but he's the only one that can figure it out. So they trust the black men to do stuff that the white people don't want to do. In chapter 1, there's a positive because the narrator receives a scholarship and a briefcase from giving a speech, and in his speech he includes, he says social equality, but then he realizes that he shouldn't have said that, but in chapter 3, the narrator, he says he's proud to be black, he doesn't care what anyone thinks, and he knows that he can be successful. He doesn't always need white people to be successful.
All right.
It's a good thing that like white people don't take the jobs that blacks get. They don't want some jobs so blacks get them, so everybody gets jobs. So you're looking at it as a positive, but I think it's a negative because it's saying that black people get the lesser jobs. Like whites are too good for these jobs, but black people can have them because they're not as good. They're not equal. Social equality. Why can't black people have a good job though? Why do they have to suffer for worse type of jobs? If they're all equal, that should be the way it is.
A lot of us black didn't have like the education or like the schooling to have to be like professional.
Yeah, but during that time there wasn't very many schools that taught black people like how to get them jobs.
Those were all black college.
A lot of those black families again didn't have those jobs to make money to send the kids to college.
Yeah, so it's kind of, I mean, it's a circle, but they still have like, even though it's not maybe the highest paying job, they still have a job that provides income. Yeah.
I could beat that one. This is my team, and we are representing the negative side of Invisible Man. My team consists of Jenny Neumeyer, Rachel Riesenberg, Morgan Aikscheid, Joshua Beck, Sarah Langel, Morgan Neighborhouse, Alex Gunderson, our reporter, Cassidy Eckerman, and John Fangman, our timekeeper. Liberty Paint was not a microcosm of the United States. The reason for this is Liberty Paint was not a little issue. It was a bigger issue. It consists of like everything in the United States. And Liberty Paints provided jobs. They provided jobs for blacks. So they couldn't really be segregated when they set aside jobs for the black people. But it was only 10 jobs in the whole factory. And they were lower level, lower paying jobs that no one else wanted. So that, I don't know if that tells you a little bit about the morals and the values of Liberty Paint. The narrator helps a black man with a job that's in the basement, where no one will see him. That's not an equal job to the white people. The white people got all the high payings, the better jobs that everybody wanted. And he's tucked away, kind of out of sight, out of mind. Liberty Paints is a factory. The things that go on in the factory have no effect on the bigger picture of the United States. In fact, our country was founded on the basis that all men are created equal. So in a country with those principles, there's no way that Liberty Paints was a microcosm of the United States.
It was based off all men are created equal. When they wrote that document, there were also a lot of slaves. They wrote that document knowing that there were slaves in America, like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, they owned slaves. So, I don't know. I don't know if they really included slaves in that.
Yeah, but that's a
It's
time.
kind of irrelevant to
I think we can all agree that that's a time
He
where
mentioned it.
that's a time where we frown upon America. We're like very ashamed of that time. We know that slavery is wrong. That all men are obviously equal. So.
Yeah, we know that now, but in the context of what they wrote it, that was the time.
It's prior bad acts. It's irrelevant.
I don't even know what that even means.
So with that worked out, salaries.
Okay, so blacks, we all know like it came from slavery, but like if you look at where they are today and like where they are in the book, they've actually come a long ways. And like it's like us as like white people, like we are gonna have like it's always gonna be a challenge to like make blacks more equal because it's just kind of in our nature. But like we're slowly like making progress on that. And the whites, they're waiting for like the big job opportunities to come along when blacks are just taking jobs that are available today instead of waiting around for a good one. There's also white people in other instances at lower levels, it's not just black people. Like there's plenty of white people that are like homeless or don't have jobs. And in Liberty Paints in the factory, the black people have like the behind the scenes jobs, which are what we consider the more important jobs because they make everything possible.
And like blacks came a long way and stuff. But if you look at it now in today's society, everything came a long way. Like technology, everything. Like, not just the whole blacks thing. Yeah.
Like, no one specific them like as our slaves and they were slaves, but then like we like integrated them into our society and like gave their or like gave them freedom. So like slowly we're like giving them and like accepting them more.
Because you took their freedom away in the first place, and you brought them over here and they were slaves. And we're saying, like, look how far they've come from. Yeah, they got their freedom back. Like Nick said, they used to cut off their tongues, like torture them and stuff, and now they're like working people that look just like
Yeah,
them.
we're just like keep looking at the past and saying, look how far we've come, and we're just gonna settle for it's better than we used to have, but it's not equal yet. We still
We're arguing the
we
past.
still have to be equal. We can't-
I know, but it's still progressive. They're going.
Let's gonna talk about the past, but arguing the past.
The matter at hand is whether Liberty Paints is a microcosm of the United States. And at the time of Liberty Paints, it's just kind of
During Liberty Paints, there's like two different views. Like in the South, the blacks were expected to act a certain way and like obey the whites. And then when the narrative went up to Harlem in New York, we discovered that blacks like had jobs with like police officers and it was like nowhere near what the South was.
You also said that earlier that it's in our nature to kind of treat blacks the way they are, and that's kind of the heart of the problem right there. Is it shouldn't be in our nature to treat blacks lesser than whites or anything like that. I think it's just an excuse to cover up just for treating blacks the way they want to be treated.
And Harlem was a predominantly black city, so there weren't as many whites to have to get jobs. That's why there were more jobs available to them.
But the blacks still deserve those jobs, and if they're qualified for it, they can have it. Even if there's obviously still white people around that they
Yeah.
can give it to them.
You have 100 blacks and 1 white in a city. Obviously, that 1 white person can't do all the good jobs. There's going to be black people that are going to be qualified for the jobs because they're the only ones there.
Yeah, so we hire some positive.
just saying, in fact, like in the obviously
Like in this
the
time,
context
yeah.
that white people are saying, you know, they have it better than they did because they're not slaves anymore, so they're just content. They're not gonna change anymore. They're not gonna give them more freedom.
Obviously, they did change because now it doesn't have. They have.
You guys are arguing the future too before, so I think it's hypocrite.
All right. Time.
Hi, Josh.
We're going to go to argument 2. Well, the next argument. I guess you got to present your argument. You're still on argument 1. Who's going to present for your side, Council? It's good going. It's good debate. You're going back and forth. You're warming up. So, okay, keep it going. Okay.
Throughout the book, there's many examples of why Liberty Paint is not a microcosm of the United States and how there was a negative motive towards black people. In chapter 1, the grandfather says, always agree with the white people. Now, if you think about that, they're almost scared of the white people because of just the attitude towards them. They're always being neglected. They're always being ignored. So black people across the country had that feeling inside of them. In the book, the narrator repeats the word white throughout the book. And the reason for this is because he wants to get across the point that whites were seen as a like higher up. Like they looked at them kind of almost sought after the things that they had. They had the money, they had the jobs, they had all the things that they wanted, but couldn't have because of their social status. In chapter 4, the black men in chapter 5, you hear the dong 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 in the church, and that kind of foreshadows a bad, like negative things that are happen, and like it emphasizes the importance of the negative things that were happening. In chapter 9, there's a veteran that tells the narrator to hide from the white people because he's like, again, they're scared. The black people are all scared. They're scared of the white people, and it's just like the white people's motives towards the blacks were very negative. And in chapter 9 or chapter 10, when they he was angry because he didn't want a mixture. Like he was white and he didn't want a mixture of white and black. He didn't want that in his paint, and it kind of like goes to the bigger picture where whites didn't want a mixture of the black and the white. They wanted white, and that's why in Liberty Paints they claimed they had the purest optic white. They didn't claim that. It kind of shows that they didn't want a mixture. They didn't want anything else. They wanted white, and that carries over to their company and the motives they had when they hired people. They hired blacks, but they gave them no jobs. So they didn't want to a mixture. They didn't want the black people doing important stuff that would actually influence their product and make it better. They just wanted them to be off to the side. And that it just shows that Liberty Paint is a microcosm.
All right.
Alright, you said that they always agree with white people, which shows that they're afraid of them. But his grandpa said they should agree with them so they can undermine them. So if they agree with them, then they like them. If they like them, then they can move up in the world.
Yeah, but
That's how they moved up in the world.
that shouldn't be what's necessary to move up in the world.
Well, that's what
by undermining them. They should be able to.
And the reason that it is necessary is because the whites were they were intimidating, and they felt that they had power over the blacks. And there's no reason that in an equal world that the blacks should have to agree. They should have to suck up to the white people to get the better jobs. They shouldn't have to do that. They're people. They have rights just like we do.
Well, like for example now, like if you have a teacher that doesn't like you, you're not gonna get a good grade in that class. Unfortunately, that's just how it works. But if like if a teacher really likes me, then I'm gonna get like an A on every paper. And it doesn't have to do with because I'm white or black. It has to do with what?
Are you condoning that?
Absolutely.
That's not true.
It's just what happened.
Fail a test. Fail a test.
Well, I know, but like if I'm, let's say like, or
Taking your job.
yeah, if I'm getting hired and I know the person and they like me, they're gonna hire me before they hire anybody else.
Okay, I agree
So if
with
you
that,
make
but
friends,
It's like having connections.
okay, but if you have someone that has a master's degree and someone that has their associate's degree, they're gonna have that higher personality than that lower.
Yeah, but that's not for white or black. It's that you're more qualified.
No, it is white or black.
Say if they had white,
If-
they'd hire a white person over black.
And now that they have today, it's like if you have your master's degree of today versus the associate degree of today, it's like you're white or black. The white is the master's degree, the black is the associate. They're gonna take the white person every time.
But what if a black person has a master's degree?
but the black person
They still hire the higher qualified black people. It's not like it's 100% white. Just a lot more white qualified.
His grandpa was also saying that if they disagree with them, they're going to get more pleasure out of beating up black people or doing harm to them than they are going to get pleasure from, like, if they disagree with them, then what can they do to them? Like, they agree with them.
Well, that's not necessarily a good thing.
But not necessarily.
If
It's
I-
not a bad thing. That's what
That's what it has to. That's what it has to come to. Like you have to just say what's not on your mind because you don't want to get beat up.
How else would they supposed to move up? But we still do that. Yeah, but that doesn't depend on your race.
Whites do that too. Whites do that with other whites.
It's social climbing. That's what that is.
On a union meeting, and at the time, blacks weren't allowed into the unions. But the chairman of the union allowed for a vote to discover what kind of person the narrator was, and if he turns out to be the opposite of who they think he is, which is typical black, then they're going to allow him to become acquainted with the union and know like what they do and maybe become a member. Whites are considering including blacks, and like the optic white paint, black is included, although you may not see it on the surface. In Chapter 10, Lucius Brockway stated that we, as in blacks, are the machines within the machine. In the Liberty Paints factory, the blacks are the ones that make the company successful. Mr. Brockway is respected by the whites in the company because when he retired, no one, black or white, could take his job and do it well. So they hired him back, and then he also came up with a slogan for the company, which is, if it's optic white, it's the right way, and he received a bonus for that. Brockway is in charge of the narrator, Mr. Sparlin is in charge of Mr. Brockway, and Mr. McDuffie is in charge of Mr. Sparlin. Liberty Paint is a microcosm for America in the sense that not only are just whites and blacks, but that there's always a higher power than yourself.
Questions from Team 2 on the introduction.
Okay. You said that the optic white paint. You said it's optic white, but you can still see the black, which is kind of saying that we still want that optic white, but we have black on the side, and it should be a gray because they should be equal. It should be an optic white paint. Why couldn't it be an all black paint and then you can see some white? It should be a gray.
But it doesn't appear as a gray. That's the thing, it appears as a white. You
That's the
confused
issue.
me.
That's the issue.
You guys said it was all whites and the blacks were really seen.
No, sorry, I got confused, really confused.
It was white. It was white because that's the way the whole worked then, at least in America, where the blacks were seen as even like a major minority when they were still treated as, some of them were still treated as slaves. So to make them feel a little better about themselves, they put in a couple jobs just to make them feel better, but they knew. I lost where I was going now. But they knew that their way, that they wanted the whites wanted the whites to be more dominant in everything. A lot of them wanted to go back to the way it used to be, and that's why there's a white paint black jobs, not black paint white jobs. What, Josh? Huh? Huh?
Time. Argument 2. Well, argument was still argument 3, so it's group 2. You're up.
When the invisible man was driving around Mr. Norton in the car, the invisible man drove him around and he saw like the slave quarters. And because Mr. Norton asked to see them, that's why he drove them, even though he knew that he isn't supposed to show Mr. Norton that kind of stuff. Well, the invisible man was expelled because Mr. Bledsoe said that he should know better than that. Well, since he's black, he should know better than that. But a white person, if it was a white student, I bet Mr. Bledsoe would have hearted him and said, "Oh, you don't know better. You don't know that you're not supposed to see that type of stuff." Well, that's not right because you should not be expelled just by the color of your skin. It should be equal on both sides. It shouldn't matter even if you're black or white. That's not fair.
Questions from Team 1 to Team 2.
You said you bet he would have said that. You don't know. It could be a completely fair system. Based on the color of his skin, you don't know whether he was expelled just because of the color of his skin. Perhaps he was supposed to know better.
In the book, they talk about like a white man doesn't know better than that, or that they don't know about that kind of stuff.
Then perhaps they consider blacks smarter than the whites.
It's all black school, whites. Sorry, I forgot that word.
I forgot that little detail. Sorry.
So, you're saying that Dr. Bledsoe wouldn't have expected a white person to take Mr. Norton there?
They would have known better to take
Well, why wouldn't they have known better? Why would they want to go there in the first place?
Because just like Mr. Norton wanted to go, he was curious.
I feel like they didn't know better to go there, though. They would know better. Not go there.
I mean, if you were a student there and you heard the rumors, you would know if it was a good place or a bad place to go, depending on, it doesn't matter what the player's skin is. You know if it's right or wrong.
He was expelled because of his own personal judgment and not because of the color of his skin.
But they're always supposed to listen to the white people and white people.
That's right.
It was still a matter of personal judgment.
What's your evidence to support that?
I don't see what you wait for the microcosm.
Next argument. Last argument. You got 4? Yep. Because that was argument 3. You got 4. You do not have 4 additional arguments. That was doing 2 and 2. You don't have an additional argument.
We did one yesterday.
You did 1, you did 2. This was 3 when you stood up. You don't have a 4th argument. You have a 4th argument. All right. And we'll just go to conclusion. Some had 4 arguments. What do you need? Do you need a break?
Yeah.
Because that's all the looks. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to look. Remember, in conclusion, you can bring in any additional evidence that you felt the other side did not collaborate on and did not discuss fully. You can bring that in, or you can bring in new evidence.
Our team, Team 1, presents the following evidence to support our claim that Liberty Paints is in fact a microcosm for America. In Liberty Paints, the whites have the higher paying jobs and are superior to the blacks, the way it was in America at the time. The company's optic white paint was white to the eye, but 10 black drops were included in the paint. American society is similar in this way. The majority of American society is made of the white population, and the black population is a minority. Liberty Paint is also a microcosm for America in the sense that nearly everyone, white or black, has someone in charge of them. For example, in Liberty Paints, Mr. McDuffie is in charge of Mr. Scarlett, Scarlett is in charge of Mr. Brockway, and Brockway is in charge of the narrator. Liberty Paint is also a microcosm for America because white men are in charge of the black Americans, and blacks are expected to respect the white people. Based on this evidence, we as Team 1 conclude that we feel that we have proven our claim to be true, that Liberty Paints is a microcosm for America.
We, as Group 2, know that Liberty Paints is not a microcosm to society. It is much bigger issue. You have heard the following evidence of the truth from Group 2. Racism is still a problem today. Our Constitution said that all men were created equal. All men. So why not blacks? Whites are the dominant race even today. So blacks are discriminated against. People judge black people based on their race. The Trayvon Martin case is a prime example, where one black man was killed simply for having his hood up. Based on the plethora of evidence from Group 2, we know that we have proven our claim to be true.